Keifer Sykes is one of the only mid-major college basketball players worth the price of admission. But there's more to him than what you see on the basketball court. The junior has survived a personal tragedy and has set a course to better his life. It's a story you'll only see here on NBC 26. Keifer Sykes came to Green Bay in part because he could wear his last name on his jersey. Born in South Chicago, Sykes was raised to cherish the name and everything that comes with it.
I just saw the situation that we grew up in. I saw my older brothers, struggling. My sister struggling, no one really succeeding. And I wanted to be the kid that, made my parents proud.
The first time I ever met his dad, James Sykes, he was at a game. He'd be yelling, man up, Keith, man up, Keifer. And he didn't baby him at all. I mean, you could tell there was accountability, there was discipline.
James Sykes knew his son would get a college degree if he went to Green Bay, preparing for life after basketball. As a 17-year-old freshman, averaging 11 points and 3 assists per game, he was the nation's youngest starter.
But when I'm off the court, it's a whole different mentality of things going on in my head. So, that's why basketball means so much to me.
He would deal with life off the court. The summer after his freshman year, Sykes' father died of a heart attack, leaving the youngest of 9 brothers and sisters on his own in Green Bay.
I don't even remember what was going through my head at that time. My dad was the only one that I really could open up to, so that was pretty much the biggest thing that I took from this is that, now I have no one that I'm really open to. I don't even think I reached out to anyone about it.
Do you still struggle with that, do you feel?
Yeah, definitely I struggle with that all the time.
Hardest thing I've ever gone through as a head coach was getting that phone call that day. I'll never forget it.
Coach Wardle let me know what happened, and all I could do was go sit next to him and be a brother to him. So,
high school teammate Al McKinney transferred to Green Bay to play with Sykes. Still, he stayed closed off, turning to pen and paper to write to his father when times get tough, when emotions get too raw.
How my family's doing right now, how I'm doing, how school's going. From everything I talked about with him from day one. So I try to, do it right before a game or right after a game while I'm feeling good. So it won't be, too bad for me emotionally.
Sykes, quick burst and dunk. Excited takes to the hole by Keifer Sykes. Big throwdown by Keifer to start the game.
His own healing process lead him to changes, taking on more leadership with the team and spending more time talking and watching film with his head coach.
And I always tell him, if you want a coach that's going to stroke you and tell you how great you are every day, I'm not the guy. And he always laughs. He goes, I know, Coach. Because he hasn't gotten to where he is today by having that done to him ever in his life. His mom and dad never did that to him. They pushed him.
Learning to embrace his teammates as more than players. Do you feel like you and Keifer are family?
Yeah, I actually do. I call his mother my mom. He calls my mother his mom. They actually have the same name, so it's kind of like we were meant to meet each other and be brothers.
It's helped me a lot get through the process, actually, and get through college. It was just weird, like it was meant to be or something like that.
I love him to death. That's it.
A player always carrying his father's life lessons on and off the court.
If you think about James Sykes and what he stood for, the first thing he'd probably say is, Keifer, you need to man up now. And that young man really did.
Keifer is hoping he'll be able to make it to the NBA despite his 5'10" frame being a constant topic of conversation. But he says now his #1 goal is to pass along to his young son what his dad taught him.